Hey, welcome to our final video. This one's on happiness. There is no one set guided way towards happiness. Everyone has their own personalized philosophy and creed towards happiness, and you have to find that for you. However, there is the works and the actions of large people in the past. You have people like Gandhi, you have people like Jesus, you have people who shaped the planet. And no matter your religion or your creed, there is someone in history who has shaped you considerably, and they have done actions that you can do, that you can mirror to bring about the happiness that you want and the peace that you want from them. You can't feel good about yourself, and you can't. I don't believe that you can feel good about yourself if you don't add back to society. If you're not giving to society and producing it towards it, then you can't really feel good about yourself, because we all understand that we take from society. So it's sort of like a well or a bank. You can't take from something that's empty. And if you're not adding to it, then you are aware of the fact, whether you're conscious about it or not. You will end up taking from this bank and withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing without depositing into it. We are all aware of that these things are not limitless. So when we are aware that we're taking from it, it doesn't help our conscience or our ease of mind to take from it without giving back. You can't help others if you don't help yourself. If you don't give back into yourself, it's the same concept. You can't give to others what you don't have. You cannot bring happiness to others or help others in their mindset without having a happy mindset yourself.
I watched a video yesterday, and the woman was talking about no one taught her how to love herself. She had to teach not only herself how to fall in love with herself, but the world. However you're expressing your love of yourself is how the world is going to treat you. And however you're feeling about yourself is how you're going to treat the world. So if you are in a dark place in yourself, people are going to treat you poorly, and you're likely going to treat people poorly. And you have to be at a place of peace, at a place of love within yourself, in order to benefit the world, in order to achieve beautiful, amazing things.
There are times when you're going to have to focus on yourself, when you might have to not go to somebody else's party, miss an event, or put friendships on pause, to put family on pause, so that you can spend time on yourself and get yourself in a place where you're actually going to benefit them. Nobody wants somebody at their party, or generally when you have a party, you want somebody who wants to be there and is happy and enjoying it. You wouldn't want to bring somebody to a party that's not having a good day, that they don't want to be there. So if you don't want to be there, if you don't want to go to some place, you might need to take some time and put back into yourself so that you can actually benefit where you're going. So that you can actually benefit the events and the places and the people that you're going to spend time with.
I was taught at a pretty young age that sometimes you're going to be alone, and that you need to be okay with that, because sometimes being alone with yourself is better than being surrounded by people who you're not happy with. And I think that's a very important lesson. I believe that sometimes there are people in our lives that don't need to be there, that they have taught us what we needed to learn from them.
And after you've worked on yourself, you can't feel complete without having other people in your lives. None of us feel complete by ourselves. Humans are a social species. We are interdependent on each other. We're not codependent, where we depend on each other for our survival, for our happiness, for our emotional feelings. But we're interdependent, meaning that we work together and we build each other up. And we are a society we are a species that builds societies together of immense value, because we work together in doing so. Alright, so concerning work in a place that you want to. Work in a place you're happy working in, because if you choose a job that you absolutely abhor, for one, that is a choice. You are choosing to abhor it. But two, if you're not working at all in a place that brings you closer to your goal, if you want to be an artist and you're working at Starbucks, then maybe you might want to take a shift into a position, a lateral shift into a position that's actually in the field you want to be in. Because if you're working towards your goal in a field that is where you want to work, you'll work harder, you'll work more diligently, and you're more willing to lock into that position and make it your career. Stay in it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And when you stay in a career for that long, the benefits increase. They're cumulative. So they increase over time, and it helps you in the long run. The second part is work with integrity. Work in a way that is both honest to you and your employer. Follow the contracts that you agreed to. If you agree to do something, then do it. Work honestly. Work in a job that gives back to society. If your job doesn't have integrity, then if your job takes away from society, if you're hurting people, you won't feel happy. Because it's difficult to feel happy in a job where you're taking away from society.
Not only do you need to work with integrity, but you need to work hard. You need to do your best in all things, but especially in work. If you want any kind of improvement, if you want your boss to like you, if you want to be adding value to the world, then you need to do your best and diligently, consistently do your best. Not have a really good day and then take 20 breaks the next day. That's not how it works. If you're going to grow, if you're going to advance, if you're going to make it a career, and even if it's not the place where you want to make a career, even if that's just a means to an end, you still need to be doing your very best in order to gain a reputation of being a hard worker.
And when you work hard, your time spent during your periods of rest on the weekends and when you choose to rest will be worth more. If you spend a bunch of time resting, if you spend exactly your 8 hours at work, don't get any overtime, and you go home and spend 8 hours at home resting, then that time's not longer valuable to you. It's just as valuable as work. So if you want your time resting to be valued in your brain, you have to spend less time doing it. Work being what brings you to your goals, what brings you closer to your goals. What also brings you closer to your goals is being in the right mindset, is being capable of writing out your goals, planning your goals, and being able to put your thoughts in order, putting time into yourself. And that's what this next category is about, self. I'm sure you've heard what we're saying, that you can't really give out what you don't have, that you can't help someone if you don't help yourself. It's common knowledge, it's these sayings we hear all throughout our lives, but what about the application of it? How often do you spend time in silence? And when you spend time in silence, and those difficult thoughts race into your mind, the ones that you don't want to touch, and you immediately decide, I'm going to cloud this. I'm going to turn on the TV and bring my thoughts away from my silence. I'm going to bring my thoughts away from these things that I don't want to deal with. It might be that you need to deal with those exact things. When you have something rushing into your head and you say, I don't like this, that might be exactly what you need to hear. It's the fact that sometimes we don't spend the time dealing with thoughts and difficult thoughts and difficult ideas in our lives. So I actually recommend, and it's been recommended multiple times by successful people, Hal Elrod, Napoleon Hill, Carnegie, to spend time by yourself, to spend time working on yourself, increasing your value in yourself, spending time in silence, spending time arranging your thoughts and training yourself and training your skill set makes you feel more valuable, helps you align your thoughts with those of successful people and of those people that are happy, allows you to mirror the actions of people that you respect and value, and allows you to change your roadmap of life to allow you to align your map with one that is accurate. Because we create our maps, and sometimes we create maps that are filled with pain, hate, disgust because of what life has handed us, but that map is not accurate to what everyone else sees. And we have to align our map and check our map against those with people that are successful. So I'd like to recommend that we spend time increasing our own value, aligning our thoughts with those of successful people, of happy people, of people we'd like to trade our lives with. In the next section, I'm going to talk about choosing the people that you spend your time with. And just as we are who we spend our time with, we are who we spend our time with by education. We are who we learn from. And I recommend that in your quiet time, you spend time with those that you respect. Read the works, watch the movies, listen to the music of people that you want to be. If you respect a certain musician, if you respect a certain director, if you respect a certain philosopher, and you read their work, you become more like them. So I recommend that if you wanted to be happy, spend time with happy people, with people who share happy messages, with people who have happy thoughts.
So going back to how happiness is an action, there are actions that can lead you to happiness. There are actions that can help you find the happiness that's no. There are actions that can help you to find happiness, and then there's actions that take away from happiness. There's actions that cause anxiety, there's actions that cause anger, and it's up to you which of those you do. I already mentioned Hal Elrod once. He's an amazing person, and he has this concept of doing the miracle morning, because he says that how you start your morning determines how your day goes. If you want to have a successful day, you spend time on yourself in the morning. And he has what's called the Miracle Morning Savers, and I'm actually going to be putting that in the group because it's very important. It's changed how we've lived our lives. Our lives have changed because we've been doing the Miracle Morning, and I agree with him that our morning determines everything. The days that we wake up grumpy and complaining, we stay grumpy and complaining a lot of times. It's a choice to be happy in the morning, just like it's a choice to be happy any other time. But you can also do actions that will help bring you happiness in that morning and get you on the right start. And that's what Hal teaches, and we're going to go into that. Another thing that we've been doing is having at least 5 minutes of just laying in bed and thinking of things we're grateful for. And it'll be things like, I'm grateful for the technology that gave us a toothbrush. I'm grateful for electricity. I'm grateful that our plumbing works. I'm grateful for this rain that we're receiving. And once you start it, it continues on throughout the day in your subconscious. Your mind will say, oh, I'm also grateful for my car running. I'm also grateful for this conversation I've had. And it will continue. Plant the seed in the morning, and it continues throughout the day. And people notice. There is a drastic difference between someone that wakes up angry and complaining about their lack of sleep or whatever else, and someone that, regardless of how much sleep they had, choose to be happy and choose to take action towards expressing that and sending that out into the world. I believe a big part of learning how to love yourself is learning how to speak to yourself. We say some pretty terrible, mean, hateful things to ourselves, and we wouldn't say that to other people. I hope not. I would really hope that you're not saying those things, and if you shouldn't say them to other people, you shouldn't be saying them to yourselves. So one of the things that's really helped me is learning how to speak to myself, learning how to reject the negative thought of, oh, I'm so stupid because this went wrong, or I did this wrong, can't even get that one thing right. I've had a lot of those thoughts, and it took daily effort of looking in the mirror and literally out loud saying, I love you, every single time I looked at a mirror.
I've had those exact same thoughts that she's talking about. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Jeez,
And that's not something that we had as children. That's something that was taught to us through other negative people expressing their negativity on us. And we have to learn that it's not... And we have to learn that those thoughts aren't correct.
We are what we habitually do. It's been said that over and over again. We are what we habitually do. And a lot of those negative habits, like speaking negatively about ourselves, have been taught into us by people who aren't living happy lives. And we have to be capable of removing from our lives the negative habits that we have instilled in ourselves that bring habitual upset, habitual chaos, habitual negative feelings. So like we both said, we want to mimic the habits of people who are happy and successful. We want to mimic the habits of people who are on the right track, because when you do something, action brings emotion. Action brings the thought processes that we want. If you want to be successful, you have to do actions successful people do. So on that note.
And along with that, you need to not do things that people who don't have what you want are doing. Look at who's giving you advice and look at their lives. Look at how much happiness they have in their life. If they are negative, bitter people, they might not have your best intentions, or they might have best intentions, but they might not know what's right to give you. They might not be intentionally leading you down the wrong path, but they might not know how to be happy themselves. They might have never learned how to love themselves, and they will give you advice because they think that they know, but they also can't look themselves in the mirror. And if it's someone like that, you need to look at the actions and the amount of happiness that someone has before you agree to take their advice. There are very, very successful, happy people, and then there are people that aren't, and it's up to you to decide which one you're going to allow to give you advice, allow to lead your life.
The last section of this is others. It's the interdependency that we have with other people, and the fact that we can accomplish more as a team. We can accomplish more as a team than we can accomplish alone. So, the last part is develop friendships. Not the last part, sorry. So the beginning point in others is you can accomplish alone. In saying that, develop friendships with people that care about you. Develop deep, lasting friendships with those that you'd be willing to switch places with, that you'd be willing to be in their lives. Because like we've said before, like you've heard, you are who you spend time with, birds of a feather fly together, etc., etc., flock together, you know what I mean, etc., etc. So, only spend time with and only develop deep, lasting relationships with people who you'd be willing to trade places with. Because someone might be a 5-minute friend. They might be great for a couple-minute conversation. Someone might be a one-day friend where you're willing to go out and spend a day with them. And someone might be a lifetime friend, someone you're willing to see every day, when you're willing to trade lives with them and be in their life and be willing to be willing to live the life they're living. Because you will take from them their habits, you will end up adopting their traits, their language, their everything. And when I'm saying you have to be willing to switch places with them, imagine what your best friend's life is like. Imagine the way they wake up, imagine the bed they wake up in, imagine the house they wake up in, imagine the relationship they wake up in, and see yourself in those places. Spend time with people who you're willing to live their lives. If they are living a relationship you'd like to live, if they're living a lifestyle you'd like to live, then develop a friendship with that person, because they are already bringing to you the things that you want and that you have in your own life. The things you want to share. So you can rebound off each other. I'm not saying have identical friends, have clones of yourself in your friends. What I am saying is that if someone else lives a different life from you, but they're living a happy, healthy life that you'd be willing to live yourself, then develop a friendship with them. Because those are the kinds of people that you want to learn from. Just as you develop your friendships wisely, develop your friendships with those who will further your life and you're willing to switch places with. Choose your company wisely. Your 5-minute friends are those who have the least impact with you. The 1-minute friends are the people who have the least impact with you. So the people who you spend the most of your time with should be people that you want to learn from, that you want to accept the ideals of, that you'd be willing to switch places with. So that's why Liv and I personally, we read books from people who we respect and we honor and we want to switch places with. I read books from Napoleon Hill, from Carnegie, from Robert Jordan. I read books from people who I would be willing to live the lives of, and that I want to understand and learn more from, because who you spend your time with matters. It's who you eventually become. You end up picking up their language and their actions.
And going along that, think about what you're going to say before you say it. And if it doesn't add value, if you're just speaking to eliminate silence, maybe don't speak. Sometimes it's okay to be quiet and just to listen. And sometimes it's okay to be quiet and just to listen, because a lot of times you will learn and grow from that. And unless you have something to add to it, you're taking value from the conversation by adding something meaningless into it. And that way, whatever conversation you do end up having, whatever you do end up saying and adding into that conversation, will feel more fulfilling, because it's not just you feel awkward so you say something, it's you actually have something worth saying. And that way, when you choose what you do and don't say, you end up adding more value to the conversation, and you end up being rewarded more valuable relationships, because you're not selfishly taking all the attention to yourself. You're letting someone else have that, and you're growing a bond through this conversation. Okay, that's all for our little video series. We have one last thing for you. As thanks for the time that you've spent with us today, we have a gift for you. If you follow the link beneath us, there will be a questionnaire that we've already talked about what it is, and at the end of that questionnaire, we have a free gift for you. So go fill that out and get your free gift, and we will see you back in the group. Bye!
Bye!